Thank you for tuning into another episode of Coding Talks. In the past few episodes, we were discussing on Google Cloud and its offerings. We have covered the overview, the cloud storage, relational database offerings, then the compute instances, that is the VM offerings from Google Cloud. Today in this episode, we will be looking into the NoSQL services that are offered by Google Cloud. Before starting the session, I would like you to check out my YouTube channel as well. I have added a few videos on that YouTube channel about covering different cloud vendors like Azure, AWS and Google Cloud. Particular to Google Cloud, I have added a video, live streaming video, which happened around 1 month back. It's a nearly 3 hours live streamed session. For your convenience, I have added different segments, and using that segments you can go to a particular topic in that YouTube channel, in that particular YouTube video. So feel free to check out that. About the NoSQL service which we are going to discuss in this today's episode. NoSQL services is all kind of database services that falls outside of relational database. Relational database is what we discussed last time. There we have a structured data and we store that data in tables, in kind of relational tables, and the attributes are stored in kind of a column format. We can have different tables and we can relate the tables in forms of the foreign key relation, and we can set that. We can use a language called SQL to query that particular data from underlying that table. We can join different tables as well. So that's all about the relational database. In NoSQL, we don't have a structured format in place. These days, the applications are dealing with those kinds of data which has a particular structured format. It's a kind of data like a variety of data with massive volume of data and coming in massive velocity, kind of a big data type of data we call. If a data has such characteristics like a variety, then the velocity and the volume of data is that much high, we call such kind of data in the category of big data. Relational databases are not capable of properly handling the big data in an efficient way. Especially relational databases are limited to just vertical scaling. You can scale up a relational database service, but that is only up to a limit. You can scale that up and down. But if you want to horizontally scale that, you need some other form of mechanisms like this NoSQL database. NoSQL database can handle unstructured data and it can also scale horizontally. That is why majority of the applications these days are having this kind of big NoSQL form of database which they use for their storing the data, and it is getting popular these days because of the massive increase in mobile, web and IoT devices, and the workload is also that much high. We need to track the live data. We need a real-time analytics. Then we have different catalogs, media and product catalogs and profiles. All these are variety of data and which needs live synchronization as well, like in the case of Facebook and Amazon. So NoSQL offering is really helpful in such scenarios compared to the relational database service, and that is why One such service is called the Firestore, which is a document DB database from Google Cloud Service. Document DB in the sense that here, rather than storing the data in form of tables and the rows and column format, we store the data in a different format. So that different format is called the document data. Basically, it's look like a JSON document. In your application, if you want to store some data, you can take the case of a restaurant. If you want to store a lot of restaurant data in form of a document model, you can store that as a JSON inside this Firestore. So that is called a collection. Rather than table, we call in document DB terminology or NoSQL terminology, we call that as a collection. You can have a collection of restaurants in JSON format, in JSON array, or different items as well, and then you can have sub-collection as well. If you have associated reviews to be stored as part of each restaurant, you can have a sub-collection that is beneath each collection. So you have a main document that contains the data of that particular restaurant, and you can have the reviews as form of sub-collection. And the document database like document or NoSQL to be precise. So the NoSQL databases like Firestore, these kind of services are capable of storing that document data that allow you to create these document data, and it also provides facilities for inserting, creating, updating, deleting, as well as specifically querying the data. Not just storing the data in Firestore, the querying is also considered very important. Querying is what the main role of this document database is all about. It should provide data in effective way as fast as possible. So within a massive collection and within a massive sub-collections of data, we can query a particular item, and Firestore provides such facilities. So that is why it is getting popular, and Google is a leader in terms of this big data and its analytics. So they invested all their particular learning in this Firestore kind of services, so that you can take advantage of the equivalent services that you can compare that in other cloud providers are, which we call that as Cosmos DB and the document DB as well. But here the Firestore is kind of a bit different in the sense that it provides live synchronization and offline mode. So it has built-in live synchronization and offline mode, which make it easy to build multi-user or collaborative applications, which can span across mobile, web and IoT devices. So whenever someone is making change from one particular device type, it will be automatically reflected in all the different other devices as well, kind of a real-time live synchronization. And this is serverless, means you don't have to bother anything about the infrastructure management at all. You can focus on what you want to store, and you can focus on what you want to retrieve, and rest of things will be taken care of by the Firestore service itself. And it has a powerful query engine as well. That means it allows you to run complex asset transactions against your document data. That means you can structure your data in whatever way convenient according to the NoSQL format or the document DB format, and Firestore gives you an option to query whatever form that we want. Just like the example which I mentioned, you can store the different restaurants in as a collection, and underneath that you can add a sub collection for storing the different items of that restaurants, or some of the user reviews that are part of those restaurants. You can add that as a kind of a sub collection. So whatever way you store or structure your data, it is up to you. And the Firestore provides a very effective query engine. So you can query against this kind of data that you stored underneath. And most of the popular languages are supported, like the Node.js, Java, Ruby and PHP. Then the security of the Firestore, you can authenticate that with the Firebase authentication and identity platform, as well as you can also provide a data validation using a configurable language that you want. So that way security can also be included. Then multi-region replication, that is another way by which once you store the data, it can be replicated along multiple regions, and it provides a way of high availability. And whenever disaster is striking across one particular region, because of the fact that your data is replicated across multi-regions, you don't have to worry about the availability that will be there within the Firestore itself. So these are some of the things which we understood from the Firestore. For working with Firestore, you need to understand about how you want to model your NoSQL data. So that is a critical thing. So once you model the thing, Firestore provides an effective mechanism to live synchronize the data. It provides high availability, as well as it provides high efficient querying against that particular collections which you define. So once you define properly a document data DB structure, then the rest is provided by Firestore, and it's kind of a serverless, and you can check out their pricing page as well to understand how that is charged. So this is a good service from the Google Cloud in terms of NoSQL, and it also provides integration with other kind of services as well, like the Google BigQuery, then the cloud functions, like some form of serverless programming you want to integrate. Especially when you store something in Firestore, you want to some processing needs to be done on that particular store data that you stored, and you want to update something in that particular data you stored as a document. You can integrate that with the Google Cloud Functions, which is another serverless component. So combining this Google Firestore with the Cloud Functions offers the possibility to update something on trigger, like something when you stored in the Firestore, it can automatically do something on the Cloud Functions and can update the change. So those kind of things which you can implement using the Firestore and a combination of Cloud Store, and it also can integrate with the BigQuery as well. So that's an effective integration is also provided. So you can check all those things in the documentation and can see how it works. So that's all about the Firestore, and some of the best practices that you can check out while working with the Firestore is available from the Google Cloud documentation. So you can find that below this particular video or particular podcast, so that you can understand a bit about how you can effectively define your data model, and how you can avoid some of the possible pitfalls that can happen while defining a document DB in Firestore. So that is available in Google Cloud documentation. You can check out the best practices. I can also include a link beneath this particular podcast so that you can check out that as well. So with that, we covered a bit about the Google Firestore NoSQL database. And similar to that, there is another one service in as part of this NoSQL in the Google Cloud, which is called the Bigtable. Bigtable is a kind of NoSQL service, but it is capable of doing large analytical workload based scenarios. We will going to discuss that next in this episode. Bigtable is similar to the Firestore which we just discussed, but this is more suitable for large analytical and operational workloads, and it provides up to 99.999% availability. This is a fully managed service, and it is a scalable NoSQL service as well. So these are also useful for similar like the Firestore, but it's mostly for large analytical and operational workloads. Similar the case as we discussed like the IoT, the personalization, or if you have a scenario where you want to handle millions of requests per second, then machine learning applications, then integration with BigQuery, that is another service in Google. All such scenarios you can take advantage of this particular cloud Bigtable. It's more a kind of a massive scale of data where this Bigtable is mainly applied for. So the integration is very simple. You can integrate this particular service, Cloud Bigtable, to other tools like Hadoop, Dataflow, or Dataproc, and it has also support for the most popular open source HBase API standard. So those teams also can work on that. So some of the key features that we can view from the Cloud Bigtable is like it's ideal for storing very large amount of data in a key value store, and supports very high read and write throughput at low latency to access large amount of data. So it's basically built with the proven infrastructure that powers Google products such as the Google search and the map. So it's very capable service. And it has the provision to replicate also. That means once you write the data, it has the power to automatically replicate whenever needed with the eventual consistency. So that offers a high availability, and it provides a managed way by which there is no manual steps needed to ensure the consistency or repair data, or you don't need to synchronize the writes and deletes. Everything will be taken care of by the service itself. It can scale also massively. That is, the cluster resizing can happen without any downtime. So it can scale seamlessly from thousands to millions of read writes per seconds. So that means you can dynamically adjust the scalability by adding or removing cluster without the need for restarting. Which means that you can increase the size of a Bigtable cluster for a few hours to handle a large load, and then reduce the cluster size again, all without any downtime. So some of the use cases that are associated with using this Cloud Bigtable is like financial analysis, where you can build models based on historical behavior. So you can continually update fraud patterns and compare that with the real-time transactions. You can also store and consolidate market data, trade activity, and other data such as social and transactional data. And it's also useful for IoT use cases, Internet of Things use cases, where you want to ingest and analyze large volumes of time series data from sensors in real time, matching the high speed of IoT data to track normal and abnormal behavior. So you can build up real-time dashboards and analytical dashboards using this Cloud Bigtable. Then for recommendation patterns, like in the case of advertising companies, where they want to find the data from many sources to understand how the customers are behaving to the different trends, and they can tweak the common patterns that can drive the recommendations and sales. So in that area also, this Cloud Bigtable is suitable. These are some of the use cases which I commonly mentioned, and you can have that from their documentation as well. You can check out that and you can understand more details from the documentation. In addition to that, you can have your custom analytical workloads as well. Bigtable is able to handle large set of data, large set of NoSQL data, so it can span up massively without any downtime, and you can build interesting dashboards from this service. So that is what all about the Cloud Bigtable. Next we will look into another NoSQL service called the Memory Store from Google Cloud. That also falls under the category of NoSQL. So we will look that as well next. Coming to the Memory Store service from Google Cloud, this is a managed, scalable, secure and highly available in-memory, which has support for both Redis and Memcache. So you can choose whatever variant you want. So this is 100% compatible with open source Redis and Memcache, and you can use this service to add your caching layer. So maybe you own a traditional on-premise application and a caching service, and if you want to migrate that caching service to cloud, you can take advantage of this memory store. So Redis is a popular one. Similarly, Memcache is also popular one. So most of the things are automated because this is a managed service. Most of the things like the high availability, the failover, like if one instance fails, how it gets transferred to the other, those things, then the patching, the periodic update of Redis mechanism, and the monitoring, all those things are handled by the Google Cloud. So you as a developer can focus more on the actual task or actual coding, and through the dashboard of this memory store, which you will be get once you created a service in memory store, you will get all the underlying details like the high availability, the failover, the patching, and different things. All those things will be taken care of by the Google Cloud provider, and you can just view the monitoring part or the dashboards to get a fully understanding of how everything is going on, and you can focus more on the coding. And you can start the service with the lowest scale, and you can then incrementally increase the size with minimal impact. So it's a highly available service as well. Then the choice of engines you can take advantage from this memory store is like two famous memory store engines are supported, like Redis and Memcache, and it's 100% open source, and that pure Redis and Memcache which you can install on your own premise, that same one is available here as well, but in this case it is managed by Google. So some of the managed service advantages also you would get from this memory store service. And security is also inbuilt, so it is protected from the public internet through virtual private network and private IP, and it can also integrate it with the Google's identity and monitoring, identity and access management services. So that means your data in that particular cache layer is secured. And why we using this type of service is it's act like a cache in between your database and your application. So that means if some customers want to access something, it can store in the caching layer and it can be served to the application rather than from a database. So it can effectively handle data, or it can make the application more responsive than that is accessed from a database. So it's kind of a caching layer in between your application and your database. Then coming some of the features that are available, you can also set up monitoring or custom alerts with the cloud monitoring as well. And if you want to understand how actually the Redis cache or the Memcache inside this memory store is working, you can also integrate that with the Open Census, which is another service to get more insights into the cloud client-side mechanisms. So migration is also very easy, because if your existing on-premise application is compatible with this Redis or Memcache instances, then you can easily migrate that to the memory store, because underlying the memory store it is also Redis. So the same APIs which you use for this Memcache and the Redis, you can take advantage of here in this memory store as well. With that, we can wind up this session. We will come up with more session on a demo based video session to understand a bit more about these things in more detail. And you can always check out my YouTube channel for such thing. And in addition to that, you can continue listening this podcast as well. This podcast will be, I will be continuing this podcast as it is. So thank you for listening and have a nice day.